Welcome to our third day of coverage of the BoardGameGeek Con 2014.
Hopefully you've been keeping up with all our other videos and photos that we've been posting all week long. And today we saw a bunch of cool stuff. Actually, we've really been playing games pretty much all day.
Yeah, I think one thing compared to other conventions, it seems a lot of this is really just about getting the chance to play a lot of games. And today, we took advantage of that.
We did. So we got to play a bunch of games, some that aren't out yet, some that are. So just briefly, we're not going to go full into detail on the ones that have been around, although they are pretty recent. But we got to play Pandemic the Cure. What else? Ninja Dice.
Yep.
Planes.
And also
Mars Attacks, the dice game.
We did a lot of dice today.
It was a heavy dice game. Or all those, well, except Planes.
Except for Planes.
But three dice games, it was a big thing. So, any big hits or misses for you there?
Well, I think all of them were a lot of fun. Pandemic Dice was it seemed surprisingly easy compared to the other Pandemic games we had.
We might have got lucky.
I think we did.
We also played on intro mode.
That's true. I forgot about that. The Mars Attack one was just a lot of fun. I mean, it was really close to the wire, which I really liked between you and me. The only reason that Ivan, our third player, wasn't close is just because he seemed to get
very bad luck
on the dice rolls.
Which is a dice game, so that's what's going to happen.
Planes. It's hilarious, I thought. Because it's like there's strategy at the same time, everything's just pure chaos. It's just like, you know what, I'm just moving everything. And it's sort of reminds me of an airport.
Yeah, and
Ninja Dice was interesting because it actually matters how your dice land and stuff. So
yeah, I like that aspect of Ninja Dice where that was really interesting. The position of your dice mattered.
Right.
Nothing.
No.
I was going to go through. It's okay, guys. We're tired. Mars Attacks. I liked, again, simple dice game. Pandemic. I was surprised how much it really was the board game Pandemic, just replacing the normal moves with dice. Very interesting take on it, almost like a cover version of a game. Planes, although it took me a while to wrap my head around it, I really want to play it again. It's a very puzzly kind of game. So I liked it. So yeah, those were all a bunch of fun. Other Planes still light, but a little more depth there, where the other three were all very much kind of filler games.
However, there were three games that we've been mentioning a lot before that we got our chance on. One of which I'm surprised we even got. Let's say I think that's the one where we got to start at.
Yes, we will start. All these came out of the BoardGameGeek library, of course, and the one that I managed to snag...
Literally, right as it was going on the shelf. Like, you just dropped off your game and just went to pick up that.
It was in high demand, and that is Star Wars Imperial Assault, the new Star Wars game from Fantasy Flight, which is, of course, sort of a new take on the Descent style of gameplay with Star Wars figures. So we sat down and we just played the tutorial mode of the game, which actually went very quickly compared to most games probably of Descent that we've played. But yeah, this is one that if you've seen the show, you know my frothing demand for it increases every day. And what we learned when playing it was, yes, it is Descent.
But at the same time, it's different. For example, there's in Descent, there's an X on the attack roll, which can be a pain, especially if you're the hero.
Basically, if you roll the X, the whole attack is a wash.
Which is, I don't know, it's somehow less, it hurts more. But in this, it's on one of the defense dies. So really, it makes you feel a little bit better because it's like you didn't fail. Like they just,
No, I totally agree. Yeah, it's so if you're the defense, instead of being the attacker and your attack misses, you're the defense and you dodge.
Right.
So it even though in essence it's sort of the same thing, like you said, it's better to have a positive than a negative feeling.
Right.
So even when someone else gets it.
I think some of the rules were rewritten and streamlined better. Like we said, the
line of sight. Seemed the way that they worded it made a lot more sense, whereas in Descent we're always discussing.
There are some more changes, at least as far as I know, there are changes in movement. You get a free space moving through your own guys.
It could be. I mean, to be fair, it's been a while since we played Descent. That might be in Descent, but
that's the thing.
New.
Every time we read the book, we were like, okay, wait, this now? I mean, remember that one time we read the rules and we're like, this can't be right. We look online like, oh yeah, there's a whole typo.
Right, errata. Yeah. But and of course we didn't. There's more advanced rules we didn't get to experience because we were just doing the tutorial. to get a grip on it. But it was very cool.
The miniatures are amazing.
Oh yeah,
because Darth Vader, they had the Darth Vader expansion in there, as well as
Luke Skywalker.
What's the Walker?
The AT-AT.
Yeah, thank you.
At.
Which was really amazing. Actually, even swiveled his head.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see myself of this game being, because of course I've got to buy Darth Vader and Han Solo.
You could already see yourself. You already asked them 50 times for it.
I know. I'm gonna buy it.
He was on their leg the entire time for like 30 minutes the first day. Just give it to me.
It's a miracle that I put that copy back on the shelf.
Yeah, that you didn't just run for it.
So definitely, I felt, like I said when we played it, felt like an appetizer, and I was ready because I really feel like this really felt like Descent, and it's not until we're going to actually play the campaign that we're going to see the differences and where the theme makes it feel different.
Right.
But let's move on to the next game.
Right.
How about Coup?
Yeah.
We got a couple that were at Essen that we talked about in our Essen show. And first one is Coup Guatemala 1954. So Coup, if you don't know, is an existing game that's a bluffing game where you can lie about what your roles are. And this is essentially the same thing, but with a twist. What are the twists?
Well, first of all, there's a lot more rolls.
Yeah, a lot. So in the original,
at least 10, I want to say.
I think there might have been 20. So
yeah.
In the original Coup, there are 5,
right,
and that's it. Every time you play, you have the same 5, unless the expansion added 1. In this one, you can either choose yourself or you randomly choose. So every game really has very different dynamics.
As far as we can tell, there's a lot more different rules. Like you can. Certain people may add their own cards in. There isn't, I think, a way to gain 2 coins. What's that called in the Coup?
Right. Yeah, in Coup, you can do foreign aid, and you can take 2 coins instead of just 1, but it can be blocked by someone else.
But because of all these cards, there's a lot of cards also that actually only do something when you actually kill them.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. The 5 cards we play with, let's explain our 5 roles, was a CIA agent. Now, his ability was gain a coin and then take another turn to name whatever. Pretty much use another ability that wasn't CSI.
Yeah, CIA.
CIA, wow.
Which is pretty good. Getting another action is pretty good. Actually, it's amazing. It's a great.
The next one was guerrilla forces.
Yes.
They're pretty much like the assassins in the old Coup.
Not like.
However, they also are the courtesans in old Coup. Contessas, wow. Pretty much meaning you can't get killed by a gorilla if you have the gorilla.
Right. So it's like if in the original Coup, if the assassin blocked itself. Yeah. So it's
next up is the I think it was news reporter.
Radio
show. Which is the same thing as the ambassador from Coup, which pretty much take 2 cards from the deck, look at your hand and put 2 back. Next one, which is probably my favorite one from the set, was the tax.
Customs tax.
In essence, what you do is you have 2 cards out of tax cards. You would name one role saying, I choose CIA agent, or actually, I chose guerrilla warrior, because I knew both of them would just kept gaining money. So I'm like, they're going to try to kill me off. So what happens is by naming that one, whenever someone claims they are, for example, the guerrillas, they have to pay 1 coin to claim it to me.
Right.
Which raise the price. Like, for example...
Makes you not want to do that so much.
Like, it costs 4 to kill. Now it costs 5, really.
Yeah.
And that's not including if you claim that you are to prevent a killing, which also happened.
And there's lots of other...
we're missing the last one we played with.
What was the last one?
The last one we played with was the intellectual, who... When you kill, you can claim and put face down side, say, this is the intellectual, and you gain 5 coin, which is really good.
If someone kills you, one of your guys. But if you could say, oh, it's the intellectual, and if they challenge you and it's not.
Yeah. But that works.
That's definitely interesting that stuff happens when they die. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of roles. Another thing that I liked about it was the Guatemala theme. When you actually looked at what the labels were. I love the artwork. Yeah, and it actually sort of tied in like politically what they did. It was much more interesting.
Yeah, the politician was bribed and stuff.
Yeah. So that's it, but essentially it's Coup. Mm-hmm. The other one we did was Bucket King 3D.
Oh yeah, you talked about this one earlier.
So what happens in this game?
In this game, in essence, you have your little tower of buckets. Your goal is to be the Bucket King. And of course, the Bucket King must have the most buckets. So pretty much you're getting your opponent. Of course it is, but it's great. Pretty much between you and your opponent, you're trying to knock down each other's buckets by using certain cards, by playing certain colors, because your bucket tower will be made up of certain color buckets.
And basically, depending on the cards you play, you can either defend against or you can't. And if you can't, you have to knock out a colored bucket.
Right.
So it's sort of a dexterity game, basically, slash card game. Very goofy, but it's fun. A good compliment, I think, to a game like Coconuts, sort of in the same family. Definitely fun if you've been drinking a little bit, probably.
Oh God!
And you're knocking stuff over, or you forget how to count up your cards. I don't know.
What I like though is actually strategy, because the way it works is there's 5 colors, you get 3 buckets of each. Now, before you set up your tower, and once you set up, you can't change anything, you get your opening hand. And for example, my opening hand was really mostly green cards. So I was like, okay, I got to put all my green buckets on the bottom of my pyramid, because chances are I will win anytime green comes around.
Right.
Which, unfortunately, was the exact opposite of you. You're like, oh, I don't need green. And like all the colors I didn't have in my hand were at the bottom of his, meaning he had a lot of those.
So yeah, there's
so there's actually some bluffing. You like knowing people.
Yes.
Like, you might actually want to be like, maybe I don't want to put green at the bottom. I want to put the top.
That's true. There's definitely some meta games that could come up in that, and very super open, and people will want to play it. Like even kids and families, it's very welcoming.
Yeah, it's really simple.
Colorful.
Like I said, it was simple, colorful. I mean, the artwork on the cards is great. I mean, my favorite green as well was the bear, because one was a bear, one was a polar bear, I think a lion, a pig, and I forget the last one.
Oh my? I don't know.
No.
Wasn't there a dog?
No, it wasn't a dog.
Don't worry about it.
But the bear, like, depending on the value, they have poses. The bear's pose, like, usually they're like, oh no, buckets are falling. The bear's was just, yeah.
That bear was chill, man.
Oh yeah, he was. He had shades and everything.
So we like those games. Those are the games we played, the new games we got to see today. The one final thing that we got to do that was kind of neat, we'll just mention briefly, is they had a Dice Tower podcast filming there, where what was actually really cool about it wasn't just Tom Vassell and the normal Dice Tower hosts. They had a bunch of guests, a ton of people. It was a veritable who's who of board game people from board game podcasts and developers and people from publishing companies. So representatives from Fantasy Flight, from Stronghold Games, and the Board with Life, Shut Up and Sit Down. Basically any of those major shows you could think of.
So obviously we weren't invited, so we snuck in.
Yeah, we did not receive our invite. It must have been lost in the mail. I'm sure next year will be big enough that Tom Vassell will be begging us to appear. Also, the Sheriff of Nottingham showed up.
Literally the Sheriff of Nottingham.
And they just had some music. It was neat. It was really cool just to see all those people together in one room, getting up, even for like 30 seconds at a time to say something. It was a kind of a cool way. I almost feel like that should have been at the end of the con to cap it off. But it was neat. So that was day 3. Any little final things you want to add about day 3? Or
as you can see behind us, we got these 2 new games, which I picked up.
Sure,
we'll be playing a lot more.
We'll talk about those in the big wrap-up, I'm sure.
Probably. I mean, if we get a chance, we'll be playing all those other games in the library, because we want to be able to tell you about all the ones that we do not own yet.
Right. If you want to keep track of us playing those games, want to know what we're doing up to the minute every day, you can follow us on Twitter at Roll4Crit. We post photos, Instagrams, and Vines, other things. And what else can they do?
Well, of course, they can go to our website, roll4crit.com. This is where we'll be posting many of our videos, including other news stories, as well as buy some of these games that we're actually talking about.
That's definitely true, and even some of the ones that aren't out yet, we will probably be selling in the very near future.
So, and of course, we have all our holiday sales going on right now.
So check it out.
Assuming that you're watching this when this comes out.
If not, then no. Unless you watch it a year from now during the next holiday. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. Stay tuned for more videos and reactions from Board Game Geek Con for the rest of the weekend. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler.
Whoever he is, Will Keeler. This has been. Thanks for watching.